Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. We got our chai tea and some cute little paintings I have to show you guys. But in the meantime, I did want to mention, oh yeah, and look at this beautiful 56 color palette of gouache. I have never had gouache. I'm so excited to have it. As you can see, I have already been kind of painting. I wish I would have filmed this, but sometimes I just get in these things where being able to put stuff on camera just completely slips my mind and I just get really into stuff. But we're gonna paint a few today. I have lots of new ones ready for some color. As you can tell, they're very much still my style. I did try doing them without outlines and I don't like it. I'm not a fan. Sorry if the audio just changed. I'm sitting down now. Anyway, so look at this though. Like, the GoPro could never, you know? We're gonna get so much detail on these top downs. I'm so thrilled. But anyway, so I wanted to chat just a little bit with you guys about some stuff coming up, and then we will talk while we paint. But let's show these off first. I'm trying to get a little bit out of my comfort zone with some color combinations. I typically love the dark, deep, earthy jewel tones, but I wanted to add some bright stuff in for my events coming up in April because it's very springy, as far as the first one goes at least, because it's the Easter Eggsplosion event. So I did these little frogs. They're very similar to the frogs I already paint. I love how simple they are. I might still add some stuff in the background, I don't know. This is easily my favorite. This is very much my style already. Love the little white flowers, although my husband seems to think that they are something flying around in the background. I don't know what those would be, but some more little mushrooms, of course a snail. This one I haven't added anything on the background yet. And honestly, maybe this one's my favorite. It's a tie between these two. Let me know in the comments below which one of these two specifically is your favorite. But then of course, you know, if you have any other favorites, you can let me know that too. So while we get started painting, I just wanted to, we've got to paint. I think that's the one we're gonna paint today. The little axolotl. He's too precious. And I think he's gonna be pink. Okay, so I wanted to mention a few things that I have coming up besides my art events because I would actually love to get y'all's opinion on things. And don't mind all this like clay all over my hands. I'm experimenting. But anyway, so I am currently, hopefully, not hopefully, okay. Currently, I'm waiting for a contract with our local arts and crafts department here on Kadena Air Base because they would like for me to teach. And I never thought that I would be able to do anything like that because, first of all, I have no formal education. So as far as like I don't have any kind of teaching degrees or anything like that. I'm completely self-taught in art also, so I don't really have any credentials saying that I can actually do the things that I do except for essentially a portfolio, which I also don't really have because I am slowly trying to build what I would consider a professional one. And I'm not really sure what most companies would prefer stateside. But I know that a lot of them do want you to have some kind of professional portfolio at the very, very least. But they do, especially if you're going to be around kids, they want you to have a degree, which makes sense because, you know, you would want to be taught curriculums and things like that for schools. But when it comes to just community art classes, I've never really had any experience, you know, going to paint and sips or anything like that, and it never really dawned on me whether or not they might have degrees. But I saw on the Facebook page for our arts and craft department that they were looking for instructors. And I reached out and I asked them if they, needed any kind of credentials, and they said they just wanted to see my work. And then I mentioned who I was, and I was at the 𝍊🍆 last year, the event that they threw. And they were like, oh yeah, like we would love to have you. And I was like, well, I would love to bring in some stuff to show you. And they were like, honestly, like, you don't need to do that, but if you want to have a meeting with the director, that's great, because they already knew that they would love to have me as a teacher. A lot of them had children that came to 𝍊🍆 that really loved my booth, and it was speaking for itself apparently, which I truly am so grateful for. So I am working with them, trying to get a contract done up, which I'm sure I'll hear back from them any day now because things have been fairly quick. The only thing is I can't teach kids until I get my background check back in, and that should take probably a couple months. But in the meantime, I can teach adults or any children that are accompanied by their parents. So it's looking like April should be when I can hopefully start. Just kind of depends on how quickly I can get in my examples of what I want to do for the month of April. And then I'm going to go ahead and be on top of things and have March ready as well. So I'm hoping to hear back in a few days. They told me that I get to make money so they get, I think it's 20%. They get 20% and I keep the rest, but I get to set the prices. I get to say how many people are in the class. I get the full control. And the best part for me is that they are not my boss. I am an independent contractor, so I'll get a 1099 at the end for tax season when it comes to stuff like this. And basically I still get to hold my own schedule, which when I'm doing really busy event seasons like in the fall, I'll get to cut back. And I'm beside myself. I never thought without having a degree that I would get to do any kind of classes or teaching quite like this, where I get to make my own schedule and things like that. And of course they want me to teach as much as possible because that makes me more money, which makes them more money. And it's just such a great setup for me. And I'm a little bit worried about not finding that in the civilian sector when we get out, which is something we plan on doing at the end of this enlistment when we leave Kadena, which unfortunately could be a little bit sooner rather than it was later than it was supposed to be, because they are changing a lot of this base to a temporary location. For TDY, it's a temporary duty station instead of a full PCS, which is a permanent change of station. And right now we are under the permanent change of station because that's how we were sent here. So I'm really hoping that this ends up staying. I hope that we end up staying longer. I already know that the changes are being made. I'm just not sure if that we will actually be affected, my husband and I. The good news is that he's an ammo and there's a ton of people, and the bad news is that he's an ammo and there's a ton of people. So we could get asked to leave a lot earlier than 2025, which is our current year expected. So we'll have to see on that. But in the meantime, I thought, okay, well, if I might leave early, I'll never get to probably experience this, civilian side, which maybe I can. Maybe I just have never really looked into it like I should have. So, if anybody has any suggestions on things like this that, I can look up and kind of do some research on, I don't know if I've mentioned it before or not, but our current plan is to move to Minneapolis after this, both for him job-wise and for me art-wise. We feel like it's one of the better, more traversable cities without vehicles. Something that we're kind of passionate about right now is to not have any vehicles. Like, we'd like to do car share and some stuff like that, which sounds really crunchy, but honestly, we've had just the one vehicle here in Okinawa, and it's worked so well for our lifestyle because, you know, I'm home so much anyway, and when I do need a vehicle, I can almost always have it from my husband without any problems because I just don't need it so often. And then if we have access to a bikeway, which you do very, very easily at in Minneapolis, then, you know, we shouldn't have much of an issue getting around. And we love our bikes. If you've been on the channel before, you know that we take them all kinds of places here in Okinawa because they are also very bike friendly. The base, however, not very bike friendly, which makes sense considering it's very Americanized. But yeah, so if you guys have any suggestions on being a teacher, anything that because I know we don't do a whole lot of like tutorials on this channel, and a lot of that is just me feeling like I have no teaching authority. You know, I don't know how to explain things very well, and I am definitely brushing up on stuff like that. So if you have any other YouTubers that you would like to throw out there with great tutorials that I could maybe sort of not copy, but, you know, maybe mimic a little bit and have an idea of what kind of process they use when it's step-by-step stuff, because this is essentially going to be a paint with me, and everything will be pre-drawn so that you don't have to be a drawer to do the class, and then I teach you how to watercolor. But I'm also going to add in inking and my other Sakura pigment and ink steps, because you guys know that I'm very illustrator centric. So I'm hoping that will appeal to a lot of people. They seem to like my art when they come to events, so I'm hoping that means that they would be interested in learning how I do what I do. So yeah, like I said, in the comments below, I would love to know what you guys think about just me teaching in general, maybe your favorite artists that do tutorials so I can watch them. And if you're an art teacher, kind of give me some pointers on something you guys think would help me maybe break the ice a little bit, because I will eventually have my very first day of teaching ever, and I'm a little bit nervous. But yeah, other than that, and I'm not sure exactly when I'll get my contract back, but it should be soon. And I will show you guys, and actually I'll probably do a little paint with me for my initial painting, and then that way I can get your all's opinion too on what you think about my very first class, basically, which is definitely going to still be very much in my realm, in my Goblin Core aesthetic. It's gonna look exactly like my art. I'm not pulling stuff off of line to, you know, have it look like other people's stuff. They want my art. So I'm going to give them what they want. But I would really love to know if you guys are interested in maybe seeing those classes or having me set up those classes, because I don't think I can film them since it's going to be, you know, a big room, probably up to like 20 people worth of, you know, people who probably don't want to be filmed. And then I have to be really careful with filming children on YouTube also. And I'm not trying to upset anybody or their parents, so there won't be any of that. But otherwise, I'm just trying to come up with as many ways as I can to still be my own boss and to do art, and hopefully just save enough money that when we do get to where we're going next, I have things set in motion that I don't have to worry about trying to find a 9 to 5, even though, like I've said before, I totally will if I need to. It's not that, well, I mean, I don't want to, but, you know, like, it's not like I wouldn't do it. I would obviously do whatever I needed to do for my family, but I would just hate to throw away all the work that I've done here if I could continue to do something like I'm already doing. But I have a couple of teacher friends that I'm going to kind of hit up at some point. I have a friend from high school who is actually, or maybe isn't currently, but she was teaching where we were in art class in high school. She may be at an elementary school now, I can't remember. Imelda, if you're watching, hey girl, I'm gonna hit you up. And then my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law are both teachers, so I'm probably going to get some little, you know, pointers and tips and tricks from them as well. Should this be black? Ooh, I think I'm gonna wait. Obviously I'm gonna come back in and touch up his outlines and stuff, but we're gonna do the background real quick. I'm absolutely obsessed with these teeny tiny 2x2 canvases. I think they're gonna go really well. I am contemplating putting magnets on the back. Or maybe I'll just tell them that they can, and that way they can decide if they want to do it or not on their own. Alright, we're gonna do like a greeny blue for the background. So I will say, gouache definitely is not acrylic, and it definitely is not watercolor. There are lots of differences between those three. This can obviously paint very acrylic-like, but it does not layer super well, especially if it's still wet, which I guess is the appeal of it when you're wanting it to kind of be a little bit more watercolory. But I do feel like you have to have a little bit more patience because, at least with the canvases, and I haven't worked with these on paper yet, the gouache on paper yet, which I hear is really kind of where it shines, because I did have to prep the canvas. I painted with white acrylic first, and I will say it does better when you paint the acrylic first, but I have run into a few things online that say not to do that. But when I paint just directly on the canvas, it just moves around it like it's, I don't know, it leaves a lot of white and gaps and stuff, and I feel like maybe if you blended it really, really well, it would look good, but if you're just putting down a flat coat of something, it looks a little messy when it's dried, especially if you have a lot of things to kind of go in between and work on, you know, like layer-wise. But I would recommend painting a white acrylic first. And I don't know if you can tell. Okay, here's a good example. So this is what I was talking about. This is an unprimed canvas, this one here. And see how the background, if you just do a really lightweight coat with some like heavy water, it kind of looks a little watercolory, but it's super blotchy because it doesn't spread in the canvas the way it does on paper. And then this one is with acrylic, and it just looks so much better being primed. I did look it up, and gesso is a good way to prime the canvas first too, but I didn't have any of that here, and I honestly don't know where to find it here. I need to really kind of get better about what I have available to me at some of my local shops. I just need to take the time to like translate stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so if you're into gouache or you think you might be into gouache, I'm almost betting when I get this stuff put on paper, it's going to be even more incredible than it already is, but I'm having a great time doing it on canvas, so it's possible. I haven't found very many examples on YouTube though. Alright, here he is. I skipped a few steps on camera, sorry about that. I am really struggling with this week and getting my timeline together because I'm doing so much stuff behind the scenes. I just got another request for another tattoo to design and a logo to design, and it's not so much that I'm stretching myself thin because the workload isn't difficult. It's just I am trying to do so many different things. So obviously some of that ends up on camera and some of it doesn't, and that's what happens, I guess. Anyway, so thank you guys for watching. I know it's been kind of a sporadic week. We are going to be getting into a bunch more painting. I want to do like a whole just me painting episode at some point because I really need to. But the next thing you'll probably see is me designing what we are going to be watercoloring in my first class in April because they are already requesting me to do that. And then we will get into painting a bunch of these guys next week also. So stay tuned for all that, and I will see you guys then. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment and do all the fun things, and I will see you next week. Bye guys.